Good morning, guys. Okay, I had actually filmed this video one way, kind of felt weird, so I thought I'd restart it and do it a little differently. I want to put something in perspective. And I know I don't need to, but I'm in a way speaking on God's behalf. There are a lot of people out there who say that the Bible's not accurate. It's not real. It was a story that was made up. One quick 20-minute Google search and you can find all these different things that people have discovered in the current scriptures we have, the King James Bible. All these different things that it is literally impossible, and it's universally agreed, it is impossible for men, especially 2,000 years ago, and going through what they were going through, to put these together this way. Even at one point, it was even proven that supercomputers couldn't do this in any fashion, because it's just impossible because of all the words that are out there to piece this together. And what's amazing is they did it in Greek, but then they did it in Hebrew, and it came out the same way. So, and even in English, it comes out the same way. Only God can do that. If that's not proof enough, this is the word that I was given, and I'm going to share it with you guys. To the people that don't believe the Bible is accurate, they don't believe God put it together right, they don't believe that we should count that as accuracy and as truth. The very first sentence in the book of Genesis is, God created the heavens and the earth. If God created everything we see and don't see, we've been able to look way out in the universe, and there's some incredible stuff we've seen out there. If he was able to create all that, don't you think it's within his power to keep a book preserved for 2,000 years? He flooded the whole earth when corruption had come in due to some unruly angels, and saved a family out of it, even though he destroyed the whole thing, and then reestablished the land afterwards. If he did all that, don't you think he can preserve a book for 2,000 years? For all time. He made animals speak. He made people fly. People were translated and caught up in various ways. He brought the dead back to life. He sent his son to die for us, changed the world, caused battles that were fought that should never have been won to be won. The Battle of Jericho. They marched around it, blowing trumpets, and the walls fell down. They just fell down. They were marching on sand. No vibration could have gotten through there. So how did that happen? Well, it wasn't them. It was God. God did that. He caused a fish to swallow Jonah and kept him alive, and then let him spit back out. He destroyed the 5 cities of the plains, Sodom and Gomorrah, and turned them into complete ash. And to this day, 3,000 years later, they're still there. And you can go right up to them. The ash just crumbles in your hands. Yet after 3,000 years of weather, they're still there. Nothing grows there to this day. The purest form of sulfur, the brimstone that's there, the purest form of sulfur exists in those piles of ash. And it's the only place on earth they exist. Scientists have studied it and said we can't even duplicate this in a factory, in a laboratory. It's pure. In the ground, it doesn't come out like this. They said this is pure. God did that. But you think he can't keep a book preserved for 2,000 years? He's put kings into power. He's taken kings out of power. He's caused rivers to run red with blood. He's caused oceans to boil. He's caused the skies to burn with fire. He's caused meteors to come down, fireballs to come down, pestilences to go upon his enemies and the enemies of his people. He brought a people out of bondage, and marched with them for 40 years in an area it should have only taken them 11 days to cross. But you think he can't preserve a book for 2,000 years. He brought his people to a spot in the Red Sea, the only spot like it. The rest of it's too deep to do anything with. He brought them to the one shallow spot and moved the water out of the way. Now, a lot of people say, well, the wind blew it. There's all kinds of theories on there. Well, the thing is, that water goes down to 200 feet deep. Wind doesn't blow that much water. He split that water and made a tunnel for them to go through. And here's another thing that was put out about that too. In order for, because they were millions of people, in order for them to cross through, because they crossed through, I think it was in one day. In order for them to do that, they would have had to have been shoulder to shoulder, almost like 5,000 across. That's a big path. In order for them to march through for any amount of time to make it quickly, because Pharaoh was riding in on chariots, they were walking, and then they made it through. And when Pharaoh and then all the armies came up, brought the water back in on them. And several dive teams have been down there and have found the chariots, have found the human bones, have found the horse hooves. In fact, the leader, I forget what his name was, the captain, he had usually they had gilded chariot wheels that were bound in gold. It's down there. They have all kinds of video footage of it. It's laying there. All the wood's rotted out of it, but the gold is still laying there. If he could do all that, but you think he can't preserve a book for 2,000 years? See, that makes no sense to me. You claim to be a Christian, but you have no faith in the God you say you do. You don't believe he is the God he says he is. You don't believe him when he says, my word will stand for all time. You don't believe Jesus when he said, my word will stand for all time. Your faith is dead before it even gets started, if that's the best you can come up with. If he did all these things and 1,000 more things, plus creating everything, man can't do that. But you think he can't preserve a book, keep it accurate, according to his will, for 2,000 years? I don't think you're in the right place spiritually that you think you are. Because if that's what you're doing, and you're taking other books who have been proven to be forgeries as gospel in place of the Bible, you're treading a path, a very dangerous path, that doesn't lead to where you think it leads. And the God waiting at the end of that path is not the God that you say you think you worship. So I challenge you to take another look, and take a closer look at yourself. Think a little bit more on, where is my faith? Is it in me and what I think I know, or is it in him and what I know he knows? Because your eternity is at stake. If you don't have faith in the God of the Bible, you have a problem. If you don't have faith in the Son of that God in that Bible, you have a problem. Because you can't just walk around stumbling in the dark and expect to be led by the hand, if you're not willing to take the hand that's trying to help you. And denying that book and denying his truth is part of that. I fail to see how man could have risen in power high enough to circumvent God's authority. It's impossible. So, reevaluate your stance. Reevaluate what you think you know. And do a little more digging. And then ask yourself, after you've looked at all the information, honestly, ask yourself, do I really have faith that God is all-powerful? But yet I still think that he can't preserve a book? Just a simple, plain old book. He created galaxies. He created stars. He created supernovas, planets, our world, all life, all the little microscopic things. He governs every one of them. But you think he can't keep this accurate? I fail to see the reason behind that. So I challenge you, reevaluate this. Take a closer look. Take another look before you pass such a harsh judgment.